Okay, good morning, everyone. I know I see a lot of familiar faces here, but for whoever we didn't meet before, face to face, my name is Sahar and I am a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant and speaker. For me, diversity and inclusion and equity is more than just a profession for me. This is something that I do from my heart. It's something that is my passion. And I do it in a way that diversity and inclusion, most people approach it from a compliance point of view, from laws and regulations. And I do not diminish the importance of laws and legality of diversity and inclusion. Actually, I welcome it because it's kind of protection for everyone. But for me, diversity and inclusion is basically who we are as human beings. My background is I have personally lived and grew up and being educated in 7 different countries. I have been lucky enough to learn and speak 5 languages. I hold a double Bachelor of Medicine from Cairo University in general medicine and in surgery, and I majored in psychiatry. I've never practiced, but I'm using a lot of psychology in what we do. And if we don't use psychology and how our brain works in something as basic as who we are as human beings, I don't know where else we can apply it. So with everything going on right now, I have been trying to find a place that I'm coming from a place where I can add something to whatever is going on right now. And I wanted to do something and I didn't know what, to the point where I said, you know what, let me start at least with unconscious bias, because this is a subject that is kind of complicated, but it's simple at the same time. So I decided to start today with unconscious bias. It's a simplified form of what I do for conscious and conscious bias, but I just wanted us to start a conversation. People have this idea that diversity is only about age, gender, color, religion, but actually diversity extends to way more than that. Diversity is about, yes, the race, it's about ethnicity, it's about gender, and gender is non-binary. So gender is fluid, and it has to do with sexual orientation, it has to do with abilities and disabilities, it has to do with age or generations. Right now, we are having 5 generations in the workforce. We have veterans, we have baby boomers, we have Xers, we have millennials or Y, we have the Z generation, and now whoever is less than 5 years old, they're calling them the alpha generation. So we finished the letters of the alphabet and we're going at the beginning. And also it has to do with education, socioeconomic, job titles, white collar, blue collar, pink collar. It has to do with learning styles, communication styles, and it also has to do with diversity of thoughts. So diversity is more or less, yes, it has demographic traits, but it's not only about differences, but it's about differences and similarities as well. And this is what most people miss. And the most important part about diversity, it's about respect and it's about dignity for people that are different. It's about being open to learning from others. And it's about having representation in our leadership where we see ourselves, no matter where we come from, reflected in the leadership. And I want to let you know, in workplaces, representation is not necessarily inclusion. So for example, if we have a nursing department and we hire every single person more or less from a Filipino background, yes, we have representation, but it's not inclusion because we're not including other people from different backgrounds. And during this presentation, I'm going to be using a lot of generalization. Generalization are frameworks that help us study groups and cultures, and it's by no means stereotypes. And I also want to let you know that in every single group or every single cultures, there are individual differences. So we cannot say all men do this or all women do that. And on top of diversity, there is something called intersectionality. And intersectionality is basically the layers of who we are as human beings. Or like, I am a female, educated, American Egyptian, I'm a Gen X, I'm married, I'm professional, I'm a pet owner. All these are intersectionality or layers of who I am. So I'm not just a woman. I'm just not a woman of color. I'm not just an Egyptian or an American. I'm just all part of that. And this is something that we need to think about when we deal with people. They're not just what they represent. So inclusion, diversity without inclusion will not work. If we keep calling out our differences, it will act as exclusion. So inclusion is the other side of the coin. Inclusion is basically when constructively we are calling our differences so we can come all together and give the right environment for someone to achieve their potential, where everybody feels welcome and valued, where everybody is treated equally. And it's creating space where we can all elevate each other. And inclusion also includes inclusive behavior, where we don't cut off someone, where we don't just look for the opinions for people that look like us, where we look at others and give them that space to be themselves. I'm going to go through equity, and then I'm going to look at the chat in a second. So a lot of people confuse the word between equality and equity, and they are two different things that I'm going to explain right now. And equity is something that has been added to D&I, or diversity and inclusion, the last few years, and I'm really happy that it has been added. So equity is basically the fairness, equity is about the fairness or justice in the way people are treated. It's about each of us getting what we need to survive, not only to survive, but to succeed as well. It means that we can, all of us, equally have access to opportunity, networks, resources, and supports, but based on where we are and where we want to go, reaching our full potential. So to explain it more, equality means that everybody is having the same amount of resources, that the resources are divided equally between every single person. But equity is different. Equity means that people, wherever they are, need different things to succeed, even if it means uneven distribution of resources, time, and support. And we do that because every single person can come in and can be successful, but depending where they are, like people that have been denied some resources, even if you divide equally the resources with them, but they are still behind to catch up with where others are today, are not going to achieve the success or reach the potential that they can have. So equity will actually empower them to tap into their strengths. And I have a picture to explain what that means. And this picture has been done by Craig Fowler like years and years ago, and it became a lot more meaningful now that we talk more about equity. So for example, if we have three people, a tall person, medium height, and a child, in front of a wall that's trying to watch the baseball game, and we have boxes that are of equal heights, what will happen? So this is equality, right? Equal boxes, equal resources. What will happen is that basically only the tall person will actually benefit from that. So it's assumed equality means that everyone will benefit from the same supports because they are being treated equally. But in this picture, when we take that box from the tall person, we give one box to the medium height and two for the child, we see that the three of them can actually look at the baseball game. So individuals are giving different support to make it possible to have equal access to the game. This way, they are being treated equitably. And the last one here is as you can see, the wall is no longer there, and there is like a chain link fence. So in this case, they don't even need the boxes to stand on. So all three can see the game without any support or accommodation. Why? Because the cause of inequity was addressed, and the systemic barrier has been removed. A dance party. When we talk about diversity and inclusion, we talk about it like it's a dance party. So diversity is when someone has a dance party and they get you invited to the party. Inclusion is when you actually get asked to dance in the party. And that's if we want to understand more or less what diversity and inclusion is.